How are you? Oh, it's so nice to see you. And let's call it what it is. Why do people say that? It's nice to see you like now. I can't see you. I can't even see my co-host. So who am I bullshitting? Yeah, and I started with a curse. Eat it, Winston. It was funny though, as I was welcome to the show, by the way. I was thinking about it before we got into it. I really like talking to these guys. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just on air because I don't call them. They don't text me. I'm lying to you again. I don't know what I'm doing this. Is it maybe because I had an edible? It's maybe. It's possible. But we're talking about this movie, which everybody was probably on edibles when they made it. And that's Batman Forever. Do you like that transition? Slick. All right, listen. This is going to be a fun one. This is the rewatch of Batman Forever. We're doing a whole Batman rewatch of a series of because we're leading into the Batman. We're leading into the Batman with Pattinson. We decided we can only, Coy was the only one who did math and realized that we could do 7 episodes total. So we did the Burton one, the 2 Burton, we're going to do the 2 Schumacher, and then we're going to do Nolan, and then we'll get into the Batman. We'll do spoiler reviews and non-spoiler reviews and all that stuff. So definitely be doing that. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, I just need you to show an ounce of class, just a little bit of class, and hit that subscribe button. Just that's all we're asking for, an ounce, and hit the notification button. That'll give that extra ounce. Patreon. We're pushing. We're moving. SEN Live is now 3 episodes a month. It says 2, but you guys got it to over 250 patrons. So now it's SEN Live is 3 episodes a month. And if we get to 500 patrons, they'll do 4 a month. We got the rewatches. We're going to do one rewatch at the end or middle of the month. We got a whole bunch. Right now, we're going to do a poll for the patrons to guess which one that is. And it depends on the movie. Maybe Coy and Winston will be with me. Maybe there'll be some new peeps for those episodes. And then we got bonus episodes. We're going to do, everyone's always asking us to do live. Why don't you do a live episode? Why don't you do live anymore? You don't do live. Well, we're going to do one bonus live episode, whether it's a big thing or Sith Council, just a Q&A. It'll be fun. Okay, let's get into the rewatch. It is myself, it is Winston A. Marshall, and it is Coy Jandreau, and we're doing Batman Forever. Let's hit it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the big thing. Okay. I'm ready to talk about this movie. It is, I think, 1995 when it came out. Batman Forever, Val Kilmer, Nicole Kidman, Tommy Lee Jones, Jim Carrey. And I got a cat. Get out of here, cat! Cat's from, I don't know. I wouldn't yell at my cat. I don't have a cat. So whose cat is in my backyard? Anyway, it is Winston. It is Coy. What's up, guys?
That was such a whirlwind opening. So much happened.
There was a lot going on. Like, for real. I'm glad you're good, man.
Who says?
It was like a Mr. Rogers tone, and then he realized he does talk to us and references talking to us, and then realizes like we text. So he's like, it was a whirlwind. It was a lot.
It went from Mr. Rogers to Deadpool.
Very quickly, efficiently.
Very, very quickly.
Thank you so much. There's a cat. First the squirrels and the cats and dogs. I mean, this is like I got a zoo. See? Perfect. Did you just make that cat? Leave that cat alone. You're making that cat do that.
He's in your house, and the call is coming from inside your house.
I should send the dude over because the dude is now growing his balls and he's starting to hump things. So
Spidey, let's stay over on this side of things.
Cat better watch out. Cat better watch out. Anyway, so Batman Forever, guys. So Winston, I think last time when we spoke, I said, you know what I think is going to wind up happening is I think I'm going to wind up liking Batman Returns more so over Batman Forever. And I got to tell you, I was wrong because this movie is way more enjoyable to watch.
Thank you.
However, what I will acknowledge is this, and I've said this before about Star Wars movies and other things. Tim Burton's Batman Returns is a better made film as a filmmaking. I mean, there's not even comparison. As opposed to this kind of
enjoyable versus quality is real with these movies.
This is fast food. This is fast food. This is cotton candy.
It is. Remember, they did a partnership with McDonald's. We talked about it before. Yeah. But I mean, for those that I don't know if you guys knew or like paid attention at the beginning. I mean, Burton produced this, so
they hold on that longer than directed by.
Yes, they do.
And they have a character at the end of the movie who's Dr. Burton.
Dr. Burton, exactly.
And he looks like Tim Burton. So I mean, he was involved-ish but
but
maybe
it's the most fast food I think a movie has actually come out, because the opening line Batman has is "I'll get drive-through." Like the first thing Batman says in a movie. That's insane. Like what contract was Alfred's first line is sandwich and his is drive-through? That's crazy.
It made.
Well, it was in the McDonald's commercial.
It was so in your face. It made Michael Bay movies look like independent.
That's how Armageddon got on Criterion. They saw this.
Do y'all not remember the McDonald's commercial? Because they did a commercial for McDonald's in partnership with Batman Forever. I remember distinctly as a kid where it'd be like, do you like a sandwich? No, I'll get drive-through.
Yeah.
And then, like, it'd be like, come to McDonald's and get the Batman Forever cups. Like, I distinctly remember that as a kid.
It's so in your face, like everything about it. And I mean, the marketing and the Seal song, Kiss from a Rose, is it even in the movie?
No, it's in the second part of the credits. It's not even in the top of the credits. I
didn't even hear it. I remember that it was so, you couldn't go anywhere in summertime. You couldn't. I remember dating a girl at that point in time, and that song came on, and because that song played so much, it was blasting, and I just remember, and I can't get that memory out of my head because that song was just so part of culture.
Yeah,
and. Yeah, and the second I was, and I remember bringing up that story of, it's the Batman song. Everyone called it the Batman song, and it's not even in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, but that just goes to show. Remember the '90s? It was all about them soundtracks. So you're talking about really
actually buying the disc,
bro. Because you also had U2's "Kiss Me, Kill Me."
That's right.
Which is the first song in the credits. I listened to the whole credits because I was curious where it was.
Yeah, I couldn't find it. Cool, because I remember the U2 song very much so. And I'm like, I remember that. I said, is Seal's song not even in this, even in the credits? And I stopped forwarding because what I did is I did the stupid thing. I was like, you know what? I got a little time left. I'm going to watch the first 10 minutes of Batman and Robin. You can't do that to yourself. You just can't until you have to. You can't. You should.
Got to bolster. You got to fortify.
You really do. But this movie, the tone of it. Now, I remember Winston, I said last week, I was like, I don't know what I'm in for because as you just mentioned, the first, that was, I'll get drive-through. Luckily enough, it doesn't stay that way the entire movie. The colors and everything is, this is the difference between Burton and this movie. Burton went through stages in that second movie of, is it like a really dark film? Is it a dark comedy? Is it like there were some really kind of disturbing images and everything too? And and then is it a cartoon? Right? This is pure cartoon. There's nothing else. It is pure cartoon. Even the darkest moments, pure cartoon. So yeah, I don't know how you felt about it, Winston.
I mean, this has a special place in my heart. I put up my list of my Batman films on Twitter. I think I tagged you both in it because I think Coy did it too. And I
shared my take.
Waited until we watched the movies, professionals.
But no, that was my pre-watch. That was my pre-watch.
Yeah, I might adjust mine too. In fairness.
Yeah, you never know. But that's the thing. This one right here. This is the high school love, man. This is you can't. No matter what you do, I can objectively say that there are other better Batman movies and ones that I
has a place in your heart. It has a place in your heart.
Special place, bro.
That's
I was hitting quotes like.
But that's the thing, dude. So and I see that in the comments a lot for this channel in general. Is that people like to come here now because they don't feel like if they like a movie, someone's going to tell them why they're wrong for liking it. Like I didn't see to every person last week that liked Batman Returns. Like I said in the beginning of it, I get it. I hate it, but I get why you love it. I get why you have that attachment to it for different moments. Same thing with this. Like, I won't lie to you. There was I remember seeing this in the theater and feeling the same way, Winston. Like this, it was just, and I think because I didn't like Batman Returns even back then, that I just was hoping for some kind of fun Batman movie, and that's what this is. And it is a very cartoony movie. It's not good. I mean, it's not. It's fun. It's a fun movie, but there's a lot of silly. It's a cute.
There's good in it. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I agree with you because Jim Carrey goes full Ace Ventura multiple times.
It's a Jim Carrey movie. I would argue against somebody who says that the first Batman is a Jack Nicholson movie. It leans heavily on him. There's no doubt. But this is a Jim Carrey movie.
It's weird how the first four are really villain movies. Even with Batman getting 8 times the screen time in this one, it is very much a Joker movie, a Penguin movie, and a Riddler movie as you go through this journey. And Batman, like I remember thinking the first 8 minutes of this movie that this is as much Batman as the first 52 minutes that you pointed out of Batman Returns, because the whole opening is just Batman action. And there's a really funny moment where Val Kilmer, who's like such an incredible actor, like Heat and Tombstone and even Top Gun, like he brings gravitas. But there's a moment where he has to like run around a corner and you can see his arm like throw the cape out behind him. And I was like, what must that have been like for a guy coming off these sets to be like, I'm going to be the Batman? And if you watch the documentary, he talks about how it's great to want to be Batman, but not great to play Batman. And I saw the moment, the Val documentary, the moment he was playing Batman, that cape throw, it just broke my heart for him.
Yeah. Did you watch it, Winston?
I watched like probably the first quarter or first half of it, so I didn't get to the Batman part.
You watched the Batman?
I didn't get to the Batman part.
You should have fast forwarded to that part.
Well, I didn't know what I was looking for. I thought I had to watch the whole documentary. You didn't specify.
Is it not a great documentary?
The whole doc is great.
So far it's good. It's just one of those things that like I unfortunately was watching while I was trying to work, and so when I stopped working, I was like, I'm gonna have to come back to this, and I just didn't have time.
Yeah.
To come back,
Well, but as Coy was saying, like he had this idea. He was so excited to play Batman. Especially, you have to also think about the time, right? Like Michael Keaton was Batman. Like he had taken that thing where everyone in 88 or late 88 when he was cast or whatever it was, he said people were Michael Keaton, what? He's not gonna be Batman. And then by the second one, you're like, oh, he's got to come back. It's Batman. And we didn't have the same type of thing where who's going to be the big superhero. That was the story. That was the main story. And it was a big piece of news when Jim Morrison got as Batman. So it was a massive thing for him. It was a massive starting, but he was miserably hated the suit, couldn't stand the suit, could barely move in the suit. And as Coy said, you could tell when he's running around doing it. But what I noticed watching it back this time, what I did like about both 89 and Batman Returns was the love story between Bruce and whether it was Selina and Bruce and Vicky Vale. They dropped the ball in this one. Like in the beginning, it starts off with Chase Meridian, right? And so it starts with that, and they're leading up to it. And then once Robin comes in, she disappears for like 45 minutes. And she just kind of pops back in, and Nicole Kidman was still a star, not as big of a star as she is now. And I feel like you could throw a penny at any DVD on your shelf for the last 5 years, and Nicole Kidman's probably in it. She's in everything.
And if she's not in it, she's talking about the movie beforehand, because AMC is where movies are better.
Bro, I'm so pissed now that when I go to AMC to see shit because I got A-list, people fucking applaud when she comes on screen.
Winston, pain feels a little bit better in a place like this.
Oh my God. Every single time I've gone to a movie for the last month and a half.
Oh, Kristian hasn't been back. He doesn't get this reference.
People fucking applaud.
Second one in 36 seconds. But you know what I realized though, Winston? I don't know why I care that you cursed on this one, because I think for Batman, for big thing, I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you want to do. What I think it was for
Spider-Man's more wholesome.
I think
Spider-Man's,
for
he
Batman,
can't hold a beer in the comic books. Here it's Batman.
No, I'll tell you.
Fair.
And let's just try to limit it.
There it is. Those are my two.
Yeah, but either way, that to me was dropped, and because they were setting it up. Hey, cut that out. Will you? They had
the timing on that. Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah.
Totally. Look at him go.
It's like the Force. But either way, and the Robin stuff, and it's a cartoon. It's like a cartoon. Chris O'Donnell's fine.
There's like two scenes that aren't cartoons, and they feel really out of place.
Which one?
The one scene where he's talking about therapy and talking about his family, and he's revealing his self to her.
Yeah, that's this moment. It's just another.
But it doesn't fit the rest of the movie. Like that's the one scene where it's like, oh, Val Kilmer's here. Like they let Val Kilmer be an actor for a second.
Right.
I would guess, to be honest with you, it felt like Schumacher really wanted to lean into the 66 stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Burton being a producer on it was like, we need to have some gravitas here. So I think that may have been Burton and Kilmer being like, bro, you need to give us a moment with Bruce.
Apparently there's a whole Schumacher cut. There's a 3-hour cut with more of the backstory, more of the parents. There's apparently
I think you're giving too much credit on how involved Burton was.
You think it was just in name only?
I don't think Burton wanted anything to do with Batman after they took him off of it.
When you do like you do the pilot, like the pilot of a TV show, how you get paid forever. I feel like
you
this
still
was
get the create by. I understand.
He's like, listen, I'll tell you what, fine, give me my producer money, put my name in the credits. So you're gonna take me off because he's no dummy. He knew it would still make money. So he made cash, and Forever made more than Batman Returns anyway. So he was laughing all the way to the bank. So that's not, but I don't think he was involved because there's no minus that thing, but his name and at the end with the character that looks like him, there's nothing that felt like a Tim Burton movie. This felt like this didn't really have a style. It's just like, oh, we need colors and we need, can you put a spotlight on both Batman and Robin's ass at one point?
Well, there's a lot of like Dutch angles, and the color palette is really Schumacher, but it's not until the fourth one where I feel like, kind of like Batman and Batman Returns, I do feel like there's a moment where it's like, oh, it did well, now we'll let it be yours. Because the fourth one has a lot more of the Schumacher, like the Lost Boys and Phantom of the Opera have a lot of that weird operatic, grandiose tilt into Dutch angle, and there's a lot of tilts into Dutch angles in the fourth one. So I feel like this was the studio with a little dash of Schumacher, and the next one's a lot more Schumacher. Also,
No, the fourth one, dude. He was overpowered in the fourth one.
Oh, is it the fourth one that is less Schumacher? Because I thought that was way more of his visual aesthetic.
But what they told him was they wanted more cartoony. They wanted it over the top,
like the credit card shit and like
He just went. I think that what he said in an interview was something along like they just said sell toys, sell toys, sell toys, and it was pretty much just a big commercial with a lot of over the top stuff. And he's like, all right, fine, then I'll just he didn't have a passion or a major love to where he was doing fighting, because you look at his other movies,
he's a genius, man. He's so slept on.
Great movies, and he can get serious. He can get dark. He was asked to do a job, and he did the job both times. First time they said we'll do it this way, and say okay, they want a little bit more fun than what Tim does, and he did the job. It's like, because the reason why he's really a great director. He was still working after Batman and Robin. Most people wouldn't be able to come back from that. And
he got to go back to his work. I feel like this was one of those, like when an actor does like 2 for you, 1 for me. This was the studio stuff, so we can make Phone Booths, so we can make Tigerland, so we can make
great,
Phone Booth's incredible, and he kept working up until he like.
Amazing.
We only recently lost him, and he was still working. Like, he's one of those directors. I hate that he's associated with these two, because these are perfectly fun, but they're not him.
They're not him. That's right. That's exactly right. Like when you look at his name's attached to it, but like it shouldn't, and I don't think it did towards the end of getting like an audible groan of, what do you need? Oh, my wife needs the keys, everybody. Hey, come here for a second. Come here for a second. I want to say hi. Come here.
Oh. That little mafioso face.
It is.
Bro.
Yeah,
she's like, you gonna use me for views?
Look at that camera right there. Look at that camera right
there. Bro, she looks just like you, man.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I've seen you make those faces.
Oh, she does look like me. It's a poor kid.
But like what I was saying is like the visual aesthetic style feels authentic to the director, but it's like more like the cinematographer he used or whatever got his flavor, but nothing else in the movie feels like a Schumacher film. So I do feel like the fourth one, they let him do more of his Dutch angle pivot as aesthetic, but at no point except for that one scene with Val Kilmer does it feel like a movie that he would have done otherwise.
Right. No, I think he did. I look, as a director, I think he did the job that he was asked to do. And the script wasn't, it was silly, but if you look at it as just a pure Batman cartoon, like a cotton candy, just kind of just pure carbs, I enjoyed watching it. And as much as I say that it is a Jim Carrey movie, that's not a slight. Jim Carrey was like the biggest star in the world at that point. 95 is when he was starting to pop. And you hear his story. I don't know if you ever heard his story on Howard Stern when he talked about Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones hated Jim Carrey, which is not a surprise because Tommy Lee Jones, he hated him.
Do you know the quote?
It was something like, I don't understand your nonsense or something like that.
It's one of them. It's the most Tommy Lee Jones quote of all time. He comes over to Jim Carrey and he says, I will not sanction your buffoonery.
That's what it was. That's exactly what it was.
I will not sanction your buffoonery.
I remember hearing that before I knew either of those words. And as I got older, I was like, that's the best jab of all time. Like, I will not sanction your buffoonery.
I got it. You know what? I'm going to see if I can play the clip of Jim Carrey.
It's gold.
I'm going to see if I can play Jim Carrey.
Because like you can picture Tommy Lee Jones using those words day to day, but then directed at Jim Carrey, that's high art. That's better than the movie.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find it because I'd like to play. Yeah, he said that.
And Tommy Lee Jones is having fun too. I mean, the moment in the opening action scene, there's that uncorking of the ear, like where they go poop when the guy takes out his hearing aid. I was like, oh, this is an Adam West movie.
Tommy Lee.
That's my hearing aid.
Oh, that guy was at an 11. Good God.
My wife walked in. He really was. My wife walked into that scene, and it was the beginning. We were watching it because she walked out as soon as it was over. But she said, she goes, "Who says oh no?" in the middle of something like that? She goes, they should say oh shit, right? Because at that point he goes oh no, and he does it again.
It's like the No More Dead Cops guy from Dark Knight got a whole scene.
He tells now he's telling Norm Macdonald on this clip. I don't know if it's hold on.
That's what Tommy Lee Jones said to me too. He said he couldn't sanction my buffoonery.
He couldn't.
He couldn't sanction my buffoonery.
What movie is that?
That's when we did Batman.
Yeah. Wait, you're the star though.
I was the star. Yeah. That was the problem. Yeah.
Do you think? Did you ever have this problem with guys who were like, "I'm a better actor than this fucking movie star"? Did you ever get that?
No, because there was no me.
Oh, but I mean, the guy that Tommy Lee Jones was talking to.
Oh, the guy that Tommy Lee Jones was talking to. It was at a restaurant, and the maitre d' said, "Oh, Tommy, I hear you're working with Tommy Lee Jones. He's over in the corner having dinner." And I went over and I said, "Oh yeah, great." I went over and I said, "Hey Tommy, how you doing?" Like that, and the blood just drained from his face, like he had been thinking about me 24 hours.
We'd already done the movie.
He was just fucking no. It was before the biggest scene we have together in the movie, and the blood just drained from his face, and he started shaking, and he got up and he went like this. He must have been in mid kill me fantasy or something like that. He was like like this, and he went like to hug me, and he said, "I hate you." Like that. and I said, "Gee, man, what's the problem?" Like that. And I pulled up a chair, which probably wasn't smart. And he said, "I cannot sanction your buffoonery."
My theory on that would be
that's a great.
It's so good, man.
That's from Norm Macdonald's show, but he hated him. He hated him. He hated him.
It's such a great turn of phrase too.
Yeah,
well, it's ridiculous. I feel like I have to use it on people, but it doesn't surprise me. I actually went to the same private school, like from elementary to middle school, as Tommy Lee Jones, and like there were the people
Same year.
Same year as well.
Black you look great. Moisturizer.
Black don't crack. Hey man, a vino with the oatmeal.
With the moisturizer next to you.
You need to send some of that to me and Roca.
Yeah, I can use some.
But it was one of those schools where you either, because it was such an uptight like kind of place, you either were a complete ass or you took it super seriously. So I guarantee you that is not the first time he said that. He said that to some of his classmates.
No way. Yeah, he probably says it to he's notorious on the top of most reporters' lists of the worst interview. He hates media. He makes everybody feel miserable, and he certainly did the same thing to Jim Carrey. However, I still think that Tommy Lee Jones is the big out of everybody in this movie, even more so than Jim Carrey. He's the most cartoony.
I feel like this was the thing he did to like vent 10 years of frustration. Like he got so much therapy out of this. He was having a lot of fun with it, and he was so over the top, and all he did the whole movie was this and run away. That's what he would do. But what I will say, as much as he wasn't sanctioning the buffoonery, you couldn't tell on screen. He was playing along with Jim Carrey like they were best buddies. Like he was, and he was able to use that frustration as Two-Face. So as much as you want to say about how grouchy of an old man Tommy Lee Jones is, he's a master. He is an actor. He's a master.
He is. There's a reason why he's gotten all of the nods that he has over the years, because he's never actually won, right? He's gotten a number of nods.
Didn't he win for The Fugitive?
I think it was a nod. I think he recently won like in the early 2000s, but The Fugitive I thought was a nod, but I'm not sure. I don't play in the Schmoedown.
See, I have.
No, I do have a Schmoedown question for.
He won Best Supporting Actor for The Fugitive.
Oh,
eat it, Coy.
Completely wrong. Just wrong. It's okay. There I am. Just being wrong.
Well, there you go. Well, I do have an IG question for y'all since we here. What MCU actor actually had a cameo role in this film?
In this film?
Mm-hmm.
Shoot. Well, it's not Nicole Kidman.
Nah.
She's an Aquaman.
Yeah, I don't remember. As far as it's probably someone super young. Who was it?
Jon Favreau.
Favreau. Where's Favreau in this movie?
So
he walks out behind
Favreau
Jim Carey.
He's one of Wayne's assistants. He's one of Wayne's part of Wayne's entourage. And so I was looking into it afterward because I saw it in the credits. And I was like, what the fuck?
He's wicked young.
There's my third one. So he's super young. It looks like he had some lines and they just cut them. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, if he's in the credits, he definitely would have had. There's that 3-hour Schumacher cut.
Right, so I would not be surprised if he's over in there. But Favreau is behind Val Kilmer, and they're walking in while he's assessing what to do with Ed Nigma.
Yeah, and it looks like Friends era because it's right before he shot Friends. Like it's that era, Jon Favreau.
Exactly, it was more when he was more focused on acting than he was directing and whatnot.
By the way, speaking of that scene, there's a shot, and I'm actually looking at it right now at the moment, but where it zooms into Wayne Enterprises. It is the worst CGI I have ever seen in a movie. It is. It looks. They're not even trying to make it. Look, I'm gonna see if I can. Whether I'm gonna play. I gotta show this clip. It's so bad. I noticed it like right away. Tell me if you guys can see it.
Yeah.
All right. Let me take this something else. Look how bad this is for everybody watching. It is so bad. Wait.
They didn't even try it. Are you sure this isn't pre-development? This was the movie? I don't remember this.
This is the movie. It is rottenly bad. Hold on. There we go. For people watching, look how bad this is. I mean, it's incredible. How did I
miss this? I must have just had my head down.
This is Batman the Animated Series.
That's part of the movie. It is.
Actually, Batman the Animated Series is better.
Yeah. It's atrocious.
Oh my God,
it's atrocious. Really, really bad. But anyway, but that's funny that Favreau was in that. I didn't realize that.
That I feel like that's gonna be. I mean, a bunch of people will have watched this now, or maybe they don't. But I feel like that's a good 5-pointer for this coming year, man. Because I mean, he's in the credits, so it's not like
Is he actually in the credits?
Yeah, he's in the credits. That's why I noticed, because I was like, that guy looks familiar, but I don't know why. And then in the credits, I saw Jon Favreau assistant. I was like, what the hell?
I'm surprised they never made a joke about that, like because he's worked for both Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark now.
Yeah, he's worked for the two parallel characters in the universes. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, it's funny.
Before he was Happy Hogan, he was Crappy Rogan.
Assistant.
Oh,
Crappy Rogan. Yeah. I want to workshop that, friend.
Yeah. It needs some work. It's a rough draft.
Dude, he must have had lines that were cut, right?
That's what I was saying. The only thing that makes sense is because you're not going to credit extras like that. They'll be put later down as extras. He definitely had lines that must have gotten snipped.
And he also was a decent sized actor at that point. He'd already done Swingers.
Yeah,
he'd already been like.
You can see him like.
He's right there.
Right. He's in the far right.
Yeah, I see.
Wow.
Like Favreau was around at that point, so he wouldn't have been an extra.
No, he was, and he had done Rudy. He'd done a bunch of stuff. So that's interesting. Good call there. I didn't know. But that whole scene and everything with Ed Begley, it's so stupid. The whole mind thing of what he's doing.
Suck it on your IQ, ripping up your cortex, feeding off your brain.
He's got great Jim Carreyisms. There's stupid movements and dances that he does through it, and like, what is he? There's one moment. Jim Carrey can get me, man. Like there's certain moments that he just can get me. Like in the Truman Show is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie, and he does something similar in Truman Show. Do you guys know the movie well enough?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when he first starts to realize what's going on, he walks out and there's a guy just painting or changing an awning or something, and Jim Carrey just slaps him in the ass with his briefcase and runs, and it is totally improv. There's no way he didn't. He had to have improv that, right? But the extra actually plays off it very well. But he does stuff like that in this movie, where there's these big moments that he has, or these faces that he has. And at the time in '95, I get why you would lead with Jim Carrey. I mean, I get it. It doesn't have to be a Batman movie. You can make it a Jim Carrey movie. So,
a crazy cast, especially in '95. You got Val Kilmer in his heat, Top Gun. Like, Top Gun was a few years ago, but he's still in his prime. He's about to do like some of the biggest movies. And, I mean, that's why he took over Michael Keaton. You've got Tommy Lee Jones.
He just done the Doors. He just done the Doors in '91.
So like this is everyone at their most, and this is when movie stars actually sold tickets. This is when like you would actually get $20 million when you'd actually open a Friday. Right. Like the 90s was that last bastion of movie stardom. So if you look at this cast, it's pure. I mean, Drew Barrymore plays someone that has 5 lines.
Right. That's right. Debbie Mazer.
Debbie Mazer, Drew Barrymore, Tommy Lee Jones, Nicole Kidman, John Favreau, Val Kilmer, Nicole, like Ed Bagley. Honestly, even Ed Bagley, I know it's small.
Bagley was around, been around forever. Sorry, he's been around forever. Like, and so in that whole scene, I like the idea. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, the difference between me watching both the second and the third is that it's consistent in tone. From the second it starts to the end of it, it never shifts in tone. Minus those 2 scenes you're talking.
Yeah, there's 2 scenes of therapy that feel like what?
Right, but that's just the scene itself. It doesn't. The tone of the movie doesn't really shift. Alfred, I think, is actually great again in this one, but it's the same repeated beats is the difference. What I will give Batman Returns and Batman 89 is that they both are moving the needle with the story in a different direction. Right. This is more with Batman. We're not learning anything new. He's messed up, and now the thing. I guess the difference is that he sees himself in Robin, so he works with Robin. That stuff is nothing new, and focusing on the Riddler. That's the negative of just focusing on the movie star. You come up with this cockamamie cartoon thing of why the Riddler and Two-Face are working together and brainwaves and all that. Who said it? Yes, it's the 66 Batman.
Well, no, for sure. It's 66 Batman. I mean, I think there's a couple reasons I think why this film sticks with me. I mean, one, for whatever reason, I guess my favorite Batman villain has tended to be the Riddler. And so I think as a kid, because Carey is playing it up Carey style, it really resonates for a child. But like the reason why the Riddler has always been so interesting, he's the one that is constantly really pushing Bruce mentally to his limits, like trying to figure stuff out. So that was always interesting. And then the other half of this is that for me, my favorite superhero for the longest time wasn't actually Batman. It was Robin, because it's like, as a child, you're like, oh, a kid's doing this. And then he becomes his own man and does this. So I was more invested in Dick Grayson the entire time. And that's why this movie really sticks with me super hard, because this is one of 3 iterations we get of Robin. I don't really count the Dark Knight Rises one. That's stupid. Yeah, we get this next film, and then that's pretty much it as far as live action, unless there's something I'm missing. If you want to count Titans, but I'm not even really talking about that, So,
do you do Kung Fu Laundry now, though? That's the question.
Oh, all the time, bro. Every time I'm putting my shirt on the dryer.
I remember it being stupid back then, and it was even worse now. It is.
I love the motorcycle scene as much as I hate the laundry scene, because the motorcycle scene is a great Batman scene. The laundry scene is like 1995, being cool. Look at my earring. I'm Chris O'Donnell.
I want to know how that was pitched, right? I want to know, like, oh, it's going to be amazing.
Where there's storyboards.
It's going to look so cool. He's like, I don't know, dude. I'm kicking a sweater.
It makes film sense for this reason and this reason only. You have to explain quickly how Dick Grayson can immediately go into helping Batman fight crime and not be like, I'm going to actually train you before you're allowed to go outside.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's the same thing that I had, the issue I had with Kate Bishop, right? In Hawkeye. Just like, okay, you can fight, but like it's a different animal once you're in the game. Right. But I think the difference with those 2 series, if I'm going to say, because especially in 1995, by the time you get to the things happening in this movie animated, they're not trying to play on any realism whatsoever. It's like, whatever, at this point, there's a lot going on that is just so ridiculous. But I think, like I said, if you watch this movie just like a pure animated film, it's pretty hard not to enjoy it.
And I feel like the goon use is better in this one than the other 2. Like, there's always goons with the villains, and I like that Robin fought the goons out of costume. I like that Batman's able to handle them, like, because if Batman can fight supervillains, he shouldn't be able to have struggle with goons. So I like that in this one they had Robin fight him. I also like that, like I said last week, I love that it's like a Linkin Park music video. It looks like the first LP video, like that crazy black light neon, like it's really 90s in a way that I really dig.
Well, even when they show up. When they show up when he steals the Batmobile and all those gang. It's like it's so over the top, but yet it's still fun to watch. I don't know. Especially where I think it's the same kind of argument even for all of us, all 3 of us. We bring in that nostalgia to this movie. Someone watching it for the first time, who maybe grew up on the Nolan movies or really started getting into the Affleck Batman, and then you hit this one for the first time. I don't know how you respond to it. I don't know. Maybe there's some people that go, I love it. I got, because there were a lot of people, Coy, that commented back they wanted to see that kind of campy, cheesy Batman.
I was about to speak to that. Is like they've had more than we've had though. Like as someone who likes dark Batman, we've had the Nolans. We've now had an Affleck with Batman, Superman, kind of Justice League. So that'd be 5. They got 4 of these campy and Adam West.
6, including the new one coming out.
Well, yeah, when we get, like, that's the tiebreaker. I'm just saying as far as, like, which Batman on screen, you've got way more campy up until recently. Right. We only recently got this dark Batman. So everyone complaining they want campy Batman, go watch Adam West. You've got a whole series and a movie. Go watch these 4 movies. You've got way more camp. I want dark Batman. Because to me, that's the character. And these movies aren't negated by Pattinson existing. That's the thing I don't understand about people being upset about reboots and sequels. Your movie doesn't go away. You want campy? Insert DVD. Open HBO Max.
Yeah.
Go crazy.
Look, I don't know if you guys know this, but I can see the future. I don't know if you knew that. I can. Yeah, I knew there were going to be 4 teams left, and there's 4 teams left in the playoffs. And I even said it last week. There are 4 teams left. Well, there are 4 teams left. I was right. And that means that only 4 teams left for you to bet on DraftKings Sportsbook. It is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Counting down to Super Bowl 56. New customers can get 56-1 odds on any team. You got to bet just $5, and what do you get? You get 280 in free bets if your team wins. If you're not a new customer, you can experience a conference championship with same-game parlays. You combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more you can win. DraftKings, it's safe, it's secure, it's reliable, and best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash wherever you want. That's awesome. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook now. You got to use promo code BIGTHING, and you get 56-1 odds on any NFL team. You have to bet just $5, and you win 280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code BIGTHING for 56-1 odds at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. You have to be 21 or older. They're new customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. 1 per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right.
So real quick, I don't know if you guys knew this. Schumacher actually directed the Kiss from a Rose music video.
Did he? Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And
it doesn't surprise me though. It all makes sense. It all ties into all the commercial. They probably said to him. Yeah.
This was 1,000% Warner Brothers being like, we're gonna milk this for every penny because it topped the charts. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you had that. That's why, like you said, it was everywhere. It was all over the radio. It was all over music videos, that kind of stuff.
It's movie of the year. It was massive. It was a massive film, and it was because it was that change in tone, and it was that. And remember, where you're at in 1995, you're only whatever it is, 30 years removed from. When was the last Adam West Batman?
66.
Was that the last? But on the series, I thought it was when it started.
Let's see.
Oh, it might be when, I know that number stands. That might be when it started.
I thought that's when either it started or when the movie came out. But either way, whenever let's hypothetically say the 70s, right? Let's say 1970. It's split hair.
Still 25 years.
It's 25. It's
68. Yeah, it went to 68.
So close between 25 and 27 years. That's not that. It's far enough removed for people remembering it and saying, "Oh, I remember that kind of tone." In the studio, going, people are over the dark kind of fish-eating mayor kind of guy. How about this? What if we bring Joel Schumacher in and then we make it brighter and fun and we make it just like the campy thing? Because those executives that were in that room at that time probably grew up on the damn thing. And probably,
what's crazy? We're further away from Batman Forever than Batman Forever was from Batman 66.
But that's my point. And
it's been 27 years since Batman Forever.
Right. And I think the executives who at that point were and look at maybe some of the executives who made Venom were like, why don't we shift it up and do more of that kind of 90s Batman Forever kind of fun stuff where because Venom isn't as goofy as Batman Forever, but it's got that 90s feel. And like when we grew up as kids, man, the 90s movies, boom, boom, boom. And it's like, that's probably the conversation that happened in that room we lost money because losing money back then is even worse than it is now. I mean, losing money always sucks, obviously, when especially for the execs, but like at that point, the movie business was the only thing. There were no streamings. There was
right.
Like that was the game. That was the game was movies. And so if you miss one movie from Batman Returns from '89. Game change, gotta change it. And the plan actually worked monetarily for forever. There's no doubt about it.
No, it 1,000% did. Again, you know, Batman Returns, like you said, did fine. This did much better. The fact, and I bank off of my own feelings about Robin. I guarantee you they did the same thing for kids. When you said talk about selling toys, you didn't need to introduce both the Batplane and the Batboat. They literally did nothing. Right. They blew up. That's what they did.
But I had both those toys.
They introduced them so you could get all the Bat vehicles. They
were awesome. I had them both.
You had to get Sonar Batman. What did his Sonar actually do? His Sonar didn't do shit, but they did it because now you get some.
Because it looked like the animated series,
dude. If you're looking at it, as far as like if you're doing a business study on trying to make a profit from your last to your next. It's genius. It's genius inside of how it's making money, not as far as quality goes and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, hey, we want to sell toys. We want to get sponsors. And we want to, what do we need? Spend the money, spend the 15 mil or 20 million on Jim Carrey. We'll make hand over fist anyway, and all the marketing and everything that we do anyway. Plus the fact that he's in the movie, more people are going to know about the commercials. Yeah, put a bat plane in there, put a bat boat, you know, whatever. Have Batman talk about fast food in the beginning of it. Who cares? Let's go over the top here, boys. We need to make our money back, and that's exactly what they did.
Well, and that's what's scary about Batman and Robin, because then you ramp it up because now you're introducing Batgirl. So now you got multiple different suits there. We're going to get to all that. You multiple different vehicles that we've never seen before, but they just made them up.
But by the time you got to that was the problem though. You can get away with that once. Because
the success of Forever really messed us up for Robin.
You can get away with it once because if you don't, if it goes too, because, and also Batman Forever had enough of that cartoon vibe with an actual through line, and it was Batman and Robin is just throw all of that away and just go for the commercials and the stupid jokes and the puns and put Arnold in there. He'll be as big as Jim, and Arnold was on his way down at that point.
Uma Thurman and and Alicia Silverstone, who both at the time. Yeah. So it just, but this film in particular, I get what you're saying. Yes, like if we're just talking about which I wanted to show y'all this. Have you guys been to the Oscar Museum yet?
Not yet.
No,
dude. So they have an entire. It's open, and they have an entire section in like the kind of special effects sci-fi area just to Batman Returns. So like they have. So they have like the penguin nose, the prosthetic they had there. That's cool. It's kind of hard to see because hold on.
Going through your bookshelf a little bit. Why don't you
send them to you?
Just text them and I'll put it on the screen. Yeah. That's interesting. You know what I did like? What I really liked about this, and I don't think I ever picked up on it before. If I did, I just maybe just wasn't in the geek space hanging out with Coy and Winston. but I love that there's like a Metropolis mention. Like they mentioned Metropolis. It was just a throwaway line, but it's like, okay, that exists here. What I didn't find consistent was it was connected to Batman 89 and the next and Returns because same Alfred, same Pat.
They mentioned Catwoman.
Wait, but he said you've never been in love before, and yet you've been in love twice. My guy.
That's what I mean. Twice. he said that, and then he also said, "This is the first time I'm ever telling anybody this." And
so maybe they could have a Catwoman in this universe, but not Michelle Pfeiffer and my multiversal Alfred theory.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I guess
he's the J.K. Simmons of the Batmans. He's the constant. He's the anchor.
Yeah, if there was what they could have done, they could have done a full-on multiverse type of thing, the same way that No Way Home did, connecting all this together. But from what the reports are, is that the Flash is just paying attention to Burton's Batmans, and they're ignoring Schumacher.
Well, and Affleck comes in.
But I'm just mean out of these.
Out of these. Well, okay. So there's a couple things that like stuck out of my mind. I mean, one, it was very uncharacteristic of Bat. Like if his back is against the wall, he will just say who he is to end the thing. I thought it was very unrealistic that just because Harvey had a bomb, he immediately goes, "Harvey, I'm Batman." I'm like,
no, dude,
no, dude, you didn't.
No, all that was just like. Yeah, he can do it. Why? No one will hear him anyway. They weren't thinking about the choices. They just wanted to let us know, hey, it's loud in there. Robin flipping around at the top and seeing there was even that should have been a little more tragic than it really was.
Yeah, it was very I mean, it's a campy movie, but they definitely were like, look at their faces for 6 seconds of they're slightly upset. Okay, I'm moving on.
Yep.
Winston, what was your other thing? You said you had a couple of things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Okay, it was that, and then we were talking about Selena and. Why does everyone know who this dude is? Everyone knows who Batman is. Every single villain figures out who the hell he is. Every love interest figures out who the hell he is. Like the whole crew, which is why you essentially, I guess, have to murder everyone because they all figure out who Batman is.
That's how Batman solves crime, is that people figure it out. It's got to wipe them out. They're not coming back. That's the Joker problem solved. It's over. They're gone.
Because Two-Face dies, and then Jim Carrey
lost his mind.
Or the Riddler loses his mind and thinks he's Batman.
Penguin's dead.
Oh,
if this is the same universe, Joker's dead.
Dude, our first and only Arkham. We don't see Arkham anywhere else in any other live iteration.
I liked that a lot. But again, how much of a Jim Carrey moment was that when he's like, I'm Batman? You know, like that.
I did that for years as a kid. Whenever I'd just flapping around the house.
It's great. And I like I said, I absolutely love a lot of the Jim Carreyisms in here, but there's the Edward Nygma, and you can tell they shot it at different times because of his hair, and which has got the big floppy Jim Carrey hair at one point in the 90s hair.
I love when he's doing the Val Kilmer and he puts the mole on at the party and he's just
how's
like
my mole?
That was so good.
That was great. And he does the stuff that he does, and like the movements when he's blowing up the all the bad stuff, and like that's what I meant that's really when I said, as I was watching that, I was like, yeah, this is a pure cartoon, because even they throw in the sound effects. Like,
the sound design is insane. They gave him like 3 different sound in that one baseball sequence. The movie's nuts. If
you ever need a confirmation that this is this based off of the 66 ones, you just watch that scene where he's running around blowing things up, but Tommy Lee Jones does annoy me throughout this movie though, because he's Jim Carrey, at least the character of Edward Nygma. He's essentially the same character as, say, Jamie Foxx is Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2. They both want to impress our hero, and they both feel slighted by the hero. Although I think that Jamie Foxx's motivation and his kind of mental health plays more into me believing it than in this. Like, he's just kind of, they don't really show, he's just a lunatic. Like, he's just a pure lunatic where he's sitting down and he says, oh, you don't like my idea? I'll show you. Nothing happens to him. He doesn't fall in acid like Jack Napier. He doesn't get abandoned by his parents like the Penguin. He doesn't, get eaten by 75 cats and get supernatural powers. He is just a lunatic. And even Tommy Lee Jones has got acid poured in his face.
Yeah.
I feel like the more he gets crazier because he gets all too much IQ.
No, for sure.
Yes,
but
initially.
But I want to talk to you because a lot of the origin with the Riddler is just kind of that he gets slighted by a boss. It's not always at Wayne Tech, but he gets slighted by a boss, and he is very intelligent and extremely narcissistic. So then he kind of starts to go into this psychotic place where he'll just kill people. But what didn't quite ring to me, but I guess it technically makes sense if he feels slighted by Wayne because Wayne fired him. It's the idea that he's giving the riddles to Bruce Wayne and not to Batman. You know what I'm saying? Because normally, he's leaving. I guess he's normally leaving the clues for Batman to kind of figure his shit out. So I think it's because he
wants to prove that he's better than Wayne, not that he's better than Batman. I think he's trying to prove he's smarter than Wayne, which is why they're directed at him, which works for the movie versus the comic. I think.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Because it's an ego thing. The whole thing is about, and that's what Nygma's so fun, because it's an ego. Like, that's why I'm really excited for what Dano does against
1,000%.
Pattinson's ego. Is what drives the character to me is thinking he's better than others. And like, I think in this case, they narrowed it down to Val Kilmer versus Jim Carrey in that battle. And I think it's really smart casting to cast someone like Jim Carrey opposite Val Kilmer, because VK is so composed and poised, and obviously Jim Carrey's pure madness. So the intelligence in different directions really worked for me.
I wonder how those two got along too. I don't remember hearing anything about it. I'm sure there's reports on it, but the only reason I asked that is because Val Kilmer wanted to be the level of star that Jim Carrey was, and didn't get it. And when he became a big star. There's no doubt about it. He just didn't have the same. We're talking mega star versus big star, Right. And I'm sure, as Jim Carrey just said in that interview, when you're interviewing him, you're the star of that movie, and like. Batman was, as Coy said before, Batman has at that point had never been the star of the movie.
That's why it was so funny when Dark Knight came out.
Has Batman ever been a star?
Begins.
Batman Begins maybe is the only one Because even Dark Knight, that's Joker, bro. Heath Ledger runs that.
And everyone complaining about that. I'm like, watch the other 4 movies. At that point, it had been that. At that point, it had been a villain plus Batman show. So I didn't understand that complaint. But I do think we're gonna get a Batman-centric universe with the Batman, the Matt Reeves universe. I think is gonna be.
Yeah, but I think they're really gonna go pretty heavy on Riddler.
Because, they're going to go multiple rogues. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of rumors of beyond just the ones we know about. There's a lot of villains introduced here. But I think that's going to work because we're so invested in Batman.
So, by the way, I mentioned to you guys, and I think the audience knows, Bobby Moynihan's coming on the big thing. I taped the episode with him yesterday, and we were talking about the Penguin. And dude, he had me dying. He's like, I don't know, Colin Farrell's as Penguin. He goes, give it to a fat guy, will you? It's so good. He's just like, enough with the pretty people. It was hilarious. Bobby Moynihan I love that dude. I had such a great conversation with him. I can't wait for everybody to check it out. It'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Dude, that's amazing. I can't wait for that one at all. But I mean, just some of the other stuff just about this film, I think that really stuck out to me. We got a decent amount more action. I mean, I know Returns, we got a lot of the fights, but they tended to be kind of like one off, like just pull a grappling hook, set someone on fire with the Batmobile. This time we got to see Batman like scrapping with people, which was
there was some fun fights, and what you can't take away from this movie is energy. Like, this movie has a lot of energy. And
the opening with the Tommy Lee Jones acid, that whole vat of acid, like that was more big action than we got in any first act of the other two. That was a third act set piece, which I thought was really smart, because then, like you said, the action stays up, the energy stays up from that point on.
Yeah, I mean, it moves, and the stuff with Robin, where Robin comes in and Batman's like drowning in sand, and he comes and saves him, and they're dynamic, and everybody at that one point, I guess they asked Tim Burton. I think they asked him a couple times about, will Robin be in the movies? I don't think Tim Burton ever wanted to put Robin in it, and then they're like, you got to put him in this one. Everybody wants to see Robin. It's going back to that whole conversation with the 66 stuff, and what with Burt Ward, and how.
I was going to say, even the animated series. So remember, the animated series uses the theme from '89 and Returns, and so like they had already built out that lore where Robin was now on screen. So I guarantee you, the studio was like, Robin is killing it for the animated series, let alone the 60s. You have to find a way to bring him in.
I mean, Wayans still makes money off of being cast as Robin and never being on screen.
Wild.
Like, to this day,
wild.
Didn't he get cast twice?
Yeah, Wayans gets residual checks from both movies today. And, like, he's not on screen. Because that's how bad the studio wanted Robin. He was in the cast.
The fact that Robin was also going to be black is kind of wild, too.
In the 90s?
In the 90s of all times, that's absolutely wild.
Well, we're going to have Black Two-Face. We're going to have Black Robin. Like, they actually, they were there. And it is rough for me to see this movie go, what if Robin's white and Two-Face is white? Like, when they had set up.
But here's the question also, too, with Billy D. Williams going off to that, they setting it up. I wonder at that point what was going on with Billy D. If they ever made well, I can tell you right now, as I answer my own question, they could get Tommy Lee Jones, who just won the supporting Oscar for The Fugitive, and like, what if we switch it up? At this point, he wasn't even in the second movie. They could switch up, and but they kept Pat Hingle. And they kept the
supporting cast. Other than, like, if Batman
was terrible though, man. Not terrible. The usage of Commissioner Gordon was worthless. He's just at one. Here's the other reason. It made no sense. Bruce Wayne gets bonked on the head. They could have shot him in the head, and for some reason, Riddler goes, make him suffer. I get it. You want to play the game at the end because you're a cartoon villain, fine. And
who built that trap with all the question marks in it? What laborers did you hire?
I was thinking the same thing. But the other thing is, so the bat signal is on, and Commissioner Gordon goes, I don't know, maybe turn it off. He's not coming. And then Batman comes in, gives him the stupid thumbs up as he's flying away in the bat thing. But first of all, if you knew.
Shit with the Batman chair. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, right. But Winston, if the commissioner knew that the Riddler and Two-Face were doing all this stuff, well, where were you at the mansion? How did he find out about it? Did Alfred call him and go, hey, we just got robbed over here? Don't do anything else. Just throw the bat signal up. Like, why? How did
he's not a good commissioner. He trusts Batman.
How did he know? How did he know that anything was going on? Plus, he's like, yeah, you go get him. You're a vigilante. I'm not sending any white people.
We haven't talked about the best.
He gets it. He saw the island. There's a giant green light. He's like, bro, we ain't touching that with a 40-foot pole.
That's supervillain shit. I don't mess with supervillain shit. I'll be over here.
We'll do it if these two idiots don't make it.
I think the best moment we haven't talked about is when Nicole Kidman's going back and forth between Bruce and Bats, and then he's leaving the place, and she's just turned down Batman, and the worst smile in cinema history happens.
I love that smile.
Under the cowl.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so.
Val Kilmer's like one of the most handsome people in history, and they made him a duck. Like, how did that smile occur?
Wait, when did that happen?
So after he goes to tell Chase. Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna let her choose.
Oh, when she chooses Bruce, and he just goes.
Yeah, he gives that smile. I love that scene, but it's a lot of it. I mean, even there's a lot. I mean, the stuff. As you mentioned, Drew Barrymore. This is also mid-90s. The fact that it was just like, hey, Drew, you want to be in Batman? It's not like a massive part. Sure, I'll be in Batman. Why not? That's what it seemed like.
And that's what the Batman does with movies. If you look at every Bat cast, it is this beautiful that year in cinema, the biggest names. And that's what this one we're getting this year is. Look at like Colin Farrell, Paul Dano, but they're going a lot more with the intellectual driven. They're going a lot more of like, we don't have movie stars like we did in the 90s, but we've got these incredible powerhouse actors. So it's actually really cool to see all these supporting forces of nature gathered around the Batman instead of just getting the shiniest objects.
Agreed. Yeah, Winston, go ahead.
I mean, you still sort of get it. If I'm looking at Begins right now, Ken Watanabe. I mean, you have the obvious, Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Liam Neeson, but Ken Watanabe's in there. You throw in Morgan Freeman. Like, it really is just kind of like,
it's always the biggest people of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the way they changed tone, it's more about Oscar.
Sure.
It's not about I think Pattinson is one of the best actors working. So I know a lot of people are gonna be like, but Pattinson's just a pretty boy. Like they didn't cast him because he was Twilight. They cast him because of The Rover and because of Good Time.
But look, and as we get into the Nolan movies, which we're coming up after Batman and Robin, is that it's the same conversation that these producers had after Batman Returns, but just the opposite side of it, right? It's like, hey, we've been out of this thing. Batman's been gone for so long. We got to bring Batman back. People are starting to really push more so since X-Men and everything too. People are really starting to, what do we do? Well, Nolan's got to take, and he just done this and that. So, and he wants to go more serious. He wants to go like Burton serious. No, even more serious, like making it dramatic. Like there's no supernatural stuff in it. It could be fun, could be interesting. All right, don't make the budget too big, but make it big enough. And then that was the right strategy. So that's all.
We owe that movie so much. Batman Begins, we owe so much.
And we'll get into that and more once we get into those Nolan movies. I'm excited to talk about those. But for this one, I think you also have to have that chemistry. If you look at it, or wrestling or whatever, the heel and the babyface have to be on the same page, and they got to make each other work. And I do think that Jim Carrey and Val Kilmer had some fun moments together in this movie,
especially the mole scene. I liked them maskless. I liked them facing off. That scene was so great. I thought.
Yeah, it was good.
It may just be me. I really enjoy Val Kilmer as Bruce in this.
Me too.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe
he's great.
Maybe more so, like definitely more so than Christian Bale, probably more so than Ben Affleck, because that felt more Ben Affleck than anything, though I think Ben Affleck did a great job. I think I still maybe edge out Keaton a little bit, but I think Val Kilmer just like when he needed to like be Bruce, I thought he did a great job with it.
Yeah, the other thing though I meant to bring up to you guys was that the one thing I think that people do all the time, and it bothers me as a music lover, scores and composers are always disregarded as how important scores are for film, like especially in the movie hierarchy, if you will, the business. Like you look at what Perlmutter was doing forever and just basically getting rid of Silvestri and thank God once he left, Feige those came back, right? Because it's so you want to associate the themes. That's why still to this day, as great as Hans Zimmer's score was for Superman, you're never going to get past the John Williams one. And it's almost why I wish that it would, like they would have bought it just for Superman and they just use it for every Superman from now until forever, because it's so synonymous with Superman that you just tie it in a different way. If your tone works a different way, because they did it. There was a YouTube channel that combined the Zimmer score with Williams, and it worked wonderful. And the flip side is that Elfman's score should have been used, especially with Burton as a composer.
They did that, but they did this specifically. I don't know if you remember the part where Two-Face sets Batman on fire and he has the cape. There is you hear the na 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 na. You hear da da like the
one. That's I'm talking about the Burton one. The Tim. I mean,
no, I understand that, but I'm saying you don't use Elfman here because again, they're focusing on this being more like the 66. That's
they're separating. From
that's ultimately why they did it. I'm just saying why they did it, going with their plan. It made sense. I'm just saying that we were so used to that theme in general, and it's a different tone from Elfman to this, and maybe Elfman didn't want his music in there. I don't know, but I just love the idea of tying a superhero or a hero in general to that theme, because when you hear it, it does something to you, you know. And even as bad as that silly as the first, not the Snyder cut, the first cut of it, when they used those themes, that was one of the few things I missed from that cut.
I do think the new Giacchino score is going to be as iconic and tied to this Batman. I think it makes sense to get a new score for this Batman because it's such a different tone. But I love that theme.
I get it. Yeah, and I think that I'll even push back against my own thing that it should never change, because I mean I love Zimmer's Batman and fit for that tone. I don't know. It's just the kind of the score nerd in me that once the composer comes up with the theme, they should own it, right? It should be that person.
But I think with each Batman, it changes, like the actor changes. So I feel, you know what I mean? Like I feel like Pattinson's deserved this Giacchino score because it's darker.
So I guess the only argument that I could really, because I'm not going to push back in somebody that's like, oh, I don't agree with you. I get it. But what I would say though, the only difference between say Nolan and Pattinson and even Affleck, right, is they weren't connected to this Burton universe. This movie was. This movie was connected.
I see what you're saying.
So that's more so why it threw me off, because you have the same Alfred and the same commissioner and all that, but you're still going so far away from it that is it connecting? Is it a multiverse? I don't know. So
hopefully Flashpoint tells us.
Yeah, I don't think they knew. I think they were just trying to pretend that everything because they lost both Keaton and Burton. They both were like, because if I'm not mistaken, Burton was the one that cast Marlon and was trying to get Marlon and Billy D to be in Forever. And then once you switch to Schumacher, recasting happened for both Two-Face and Robin, and that's where you end up with Tommy Lee Jones and O'Donnell. So
yeah, Keaton was pretty clear on the fact that he wasn't going to come back if Burton didn't come back. That was where So and now I wonder what I'd love to hear what changed, you know, for Keaton all those years later, especially after like Birdman and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Birdman and Spider-Man. It's interesting how much he's tied into the superhero mythos in all new ways.
Well, but Birdman specifically because it takes a crack at superhero.
Oh, directly. Yeah. Like so directly.
At him. So anyway, but Val Kilmer also, we know that he didn't have a great experience because he doesn't come back for Batman and Robin. I don't even know if he was asked. I'm not sure. I don't know the full story. Probably have to do a little research on that before we get to next week, because
there's some talk on it in the documentary. It seemed like he had a pretty rough time. It seemed like him and Schumacher kind of butt heads for a long time.
They didn't. Yeah, but I'll tell you, the bad news for me was that I was like, as I mentioned to you, started watching Batman and Robin. I was like, well, at least it's only like an hour and a half. That movie's 2 hours long.
It's 2 hours long.
It's a 2 hour long movie. And like for that's like chugging Pepto-Bismol, man. For like 2 hours.
There are some moments that like you will probably enjoy a little bit, but you're right. Overall, it is as a child, once again, I loved it. But as I've seen it at an older ages, I'm like, Jesus, I love some crap when I was a child.
It's bad. I watched the first 10 minutes of it. It's like I said with this one, the comparison it's not even the same. Like there's the overall tone of what this movie wants to be, the Batman Forever, you get on board with it. It has a story. This is just, I mean, sledgehammer to the balls type stuff.
When you also consider that Mr. Freeze is, again, one of the smarter, one of the more serious villains that a lot of times Batman and Freeze have like a loose allyship based on if it will help Victor save his wife. He'll do what he has to do if it can help save his wife. And they made him just full cartoon pun. Over the top.
And Uma, like Poison Ivy's a brilliant character, and they just made her like,
yeah, dude. Oh my god,
I'm curious now. That's gonna go.
And Bane is a psychological and intelligence equals Batman,
and he's
Bruce
just,
Wayne is he doesn't like the disrespect to Bane will not stand. Like I'm really worried about because I love Bane.
And that's coming up soon. But before we get the hell out of here, I did get those pictures. Here's one of those from Winston.
Oh, yeah, so that's of Cobblepot Manor. So they have all of that there. And yeah, they have a full like layout where they kind of explain that is the prosthetic. I'm sorry, it's a little blurry. That's a prosthetic of the nose for Penguin that Danny DeVito had on, and then this is in the rendering they did when they were making the film of the Batcave. So you can kind of see the different areas, and there's a lot more. I just was like, I can't take every photo here, but if you're in LA, I cannot recommend the Oscar Museum enough, especially if you can go in the next month or two. They have a whole floor dedicated to Miyazaki that's going to go away in a couple of months, but it's pretty amazing.
All right, well, thank you everybody. Thank you to Winston and Coy for Batman Forever. And make sure next week you check us out for Batman and Robin. Then after that, we're going to do the Nolan films. And then we will be seeing the Batman, all 3 hours of it, doing a big, long conversation here. I'm so curious on how, because like we said, when we did our Spider-Man one, that one was it's still to this day our highest viewed Big Thing episode that we've done. I'm curious if the Batman will get close. I'm very curious. So that will be coming out once we see it. And don't forget, please show a little class. Will you subscribe? And if you want to show an ounce, then you just hit the notification button. That's all you got to do. Join the Patreon today. You go to patreon.com/SEN Live. Do it and let the English see you do it. Hey, before I go, it was funny. I've been telling the audience to show a little, right? Show a little class and hit the button. And most people are getting it and they're laughing at it. And there were some people commenting, and I just showed a little. I finally showed an ounce of class. I saw a comment that came in, guys. I laughed my ass off. The guy wrote, "Fuck you for telling people to show some class." It took every bit of me.
Wow.
It took every bit of me to not write back no class. But I didn't. I just left it alone. But it was. I will be lying to you if I wasn't sitting there for about 20 to 30 seconds laughing at that. I thought it was there. Fuck you. Tell people to show some class. He's the best. I'm mad at myself that I didn't screenshot it. Stupid. Anyway, there's
still time. It's forever.
There is still time.
There is
Batman Forever. That's Batman Forever. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Coy Jandreau, Winston A. Marshall, and me. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Peace.